Hello, YouTube. I am the Super Saiyan Diclonius, and 3 months ago I made a video about what if Angron landed on Nostromo, and today I finally got around to the promised sequel, what if Konrad Curze landed on Nuceria. Now, a staple for any future videos of a Primarch landing on Nuceria is, I'm just gonna say that the Eldar that pursued Angron foresaw whichever Primarch lands on Nuceria becoming the champion of Khorne on account of the Butcher's Nails and all that. But Konrad Curze would have an advantage that literally any other Primarch wouldn't have. He sees them coming. I mean, not only does he see them coming, but he also foresees that if he stands and fights, he's going to become the champion of Khorne through the Butcher's Nails. So he's going to run away, as soon as these Eldar show themselves. And even if he is a young Primarch, I'm pretty sure he can keep pace with Eldar. Or at least for a while. Now, this can go two ways. One, he runs in a completely random direction and a very long cat and mouse comes out of it. Two, he can run in the direction of the slavers that heard of the commotion when Angron fought and killed the Eldar and run the Eldar into them, and they fight amongst themselves. Well, the Eldar would probably try to ignore the slavers. I don't think the slavers would ignore the Eldar, though, and either way, it would end in the slavers' deaths, I'm pretty sure. So, from here on out, Konrad is trying to avoid these Eldar while also getting the lay of the land. And Nuceria is basically the Holy Roman Empire with guns. And so, a lot of slavery going on, and Konrad's not going to enjoy that, but there's also something else to consider. One of the most infamous instances of Konrad Curze killing someone that might not have deserved it in Nostromo was a boy that he fought, and he had a vision of this boy, and a vision of him sparing the boy, and that boy becomes his right-hand man and helps him reshape Nostromo for the better, and one where he tries to spare the boy pulls the knife and stabs him, and while Konrad is mending his injuries, this boy develops a reputation as the one who survived Konrad Curze, the Night Haunter, and he becomes the deadliest warlord in Nostromo's history. And in either of these visions, whether it's Konrad congratulating the man who becomes the ruler of Nostromo, or Konrad hunting down the man who became the ruler of Nostromo, both confrontations end with the kid saying, "Thank you for making me who I am." So for fear of his second vision, Konrad kills him, turns around, and sees the knife that the boy lost during the fight because Konrad disarmed him, which means that second vision couldn't have happened. He decides that fate is unmovable and just laughs to himself about it. I think we all know who's really responsible for that, and I'm pretty sure he's still going to be fucking with Konrad's head on Nuceria. And yeah, I stopped talking about the Eldar because I'm pretty sure he can outmaneuver them and take them down. Like, if Angron could beat them in a straight-up fight, then the sneakiest and most dirty fighting of the Primarchs can definitely deal with them. Especially when he sees them coming, so... Oh yeah, the Eldar aren't going to be much of a problem. He would just avoid getting captured, unlike Angron, and he would try to reshape the world into a more just society, but he would see future villains where there are none to be seen. And so, he would end up ruling through fear again. He would end up doing some pretty unjust things to people who don't deserve it because he believes they will in the future again. And, yeah, it's pretty much the same story with Nostromo, except they're going to be less likely to rebel, which we'll get to that in a minute. So, from here on, Konrad is ruling Nuceria until the Emperor arrives and gifts him with the 8th Legion. Now, as I said in the previous video, all the best Night Lords were part of the 12th Legion because they were on Nostromo, so Sevatar, Talos Valkor, and Malkarian, they are not part of the 8th Legion in this scenario, and Angron did not make anyone from Nuceria a World Eater, so I don't know any Nucerians that would be part of the 8th Legion in this scenario. The only one I know off the top of my head that belongs to the Terran Night Lords is Zol Sahal. I believe I pronounced that right. So he's still there. And that's the only one I know by name, so we're just gonna say he becomes Konrad's right-hand man for the sake of my brain. So from here, he's going to do the same thing he did during the Great Crusade. He's going to be mostly in charge of making sure the people who are in line stay in line, and a few years later, he's probably going to end up back on Nuceria and the Gladiators. I foresee that Konrad would leave the Gladiators in her prison because of his visions. Like, he foresees 2 scenarios, one where they become his enforcers and one where they become a very big problem, and for fear of that one, he leaves them, and if he leaves Nuceria, I foresee the Gladiators staging their own rebellion and tearing Nuceria apart. Eventually, they would probably end up being cornered as they were with Angron leading them, but if Konrad comes in before they are dealt with, we know how prone he is to overreacting, to putting it mildly. So, yeah, long story short, I just don't see Konrad changing, at least not on Nuceria. Like, Nostromo broke him, and Nuceria is worse than Nostromo. Fucking fight me, Night Lords. And I just see him running down the same path. That he still becomes a traitor, still gets killed by Mashin. Difference is all of the better Night Lords are on Nostromo, so they're not Night Lords here, which means the Night Lords are an overall less threatening legion. That's really the only difference. Like, Nuceria is too much like Nostromo, and Konrad does not have the will. Like, he doesn't get taken by the slavers, he doesn't get the butcher's nails and become a demon of corn, which, that's the only reason Curze does better on Nuceria than Angron, but Angron still does better on Nostromo than Konrad, and Konrad doesn't do better on Nuceria than he did on Nostromo. Maybe in a future video, I'll put him on a different planet and he'll do better. Like, I can see him managing a better life on a death world where there's less people willing to break the law, because you kind of need those laws in place in order to survive. It's more about safety than it is about your personal comfort. But that's for a future video. And speaking of which, for the entire 3 months between this video and its predecessor, no one has voted on the next video. So, like, it's gonna be a minute before I do another one of these, and the highest vote will be the one. If no one votes at all, I'll just pick one at random. That's about all I gotta say about it. Goodbye, YouTube.